We talk a lot about resilience, about just surviving life's storms. But what if it's way more than that? What if every single challenge is actually an opportunity? Not just to get back on your feet, but to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable than you were before. Today, we're going to explore how to stop just bouncing back and start bouncing forward.
Oh, yeah. I think every single one of us knows this feeling. It could be a personal struggle, a hurdle at work, or just the day-to-day grind. Look, challenges are part of the deal. So the real question isn't if we're going to face tough times, but how we're going to respond when we do.
And this isn't just about attitude. It has a real, measurable impact on our health. Get this. A 2021 study found that improving your resilience by just 5% can lower your risk of a mental health diagnosis by a whopping 10 to 15%. I mean, that is huge. So we're not talking about some fluffy, feel-good concept here. This is fundamental to our well-being. And that brings us right to the core idea of this explainer. It's time to shift our whole mindset from that old model of just getting back to normal to a much, much more powerful idea, the art of bouncing forward. So what's the difference? Well, bouncing back is just about recovery. It's about getting back to who you were before the setback. But bouncing forward, that's about transformation. It's about taking the hit and using that energy as fuel for real, meaningful growth. I absolutely love this metaphor because it just clicks, right? When you lift weights, you're literally creating tiny tears in your muscles. And your body's repair process, it doesn't just patch them up, it rebuilds them stronger than before. Adversity does the exact same thing to our character, to our skills. The struggle is the resistance that forces us to adapt and grow. And you see this in the real world all the time. Just think about Tiger Woods, facing career-ending injuries, personal scandals, only to climb back to the top. Or Christopher Reeve, who turned an unimaginable tragedy into a global movement for research. They didn't just go back to their old lives. They forged completely new, powerful identities out of their challenges. Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we build this ability to bounce forward? Well, the great news is, this isn't some magic trait you're either born with or you're not. It's a set of skills. Let's open up the toolkit and look at the 5 core practices for growth. So here they are, the whole toolkit at a glance. We've got 5 key practices that all work together: vulnerability, productive perseverance, connection, gratitude and generosity, and finally, possibility. Let's think of them like 5 muscles we can start training, one by one, starting right now. All right, first up is maybe the one that sounds the scariest: vulnerability. But listen, this isn't weakness. It's the absolute courage to be real. It's the doorway to building those deep, supportive connections we all need. And you can start small. Just share how you're really feeling with one person you trust, or even just be honest with yourself in a journal. Next, we need productive perseverance. And notice that word, productive. This isn't just about gritting your teeth and pushing through a brick wall. It's about being smart. It's knowing when to push, but also when to pivot and try a different approach. It means seeing every failure not as the end of the road, but as valuable data for your next attempt. And of course, we can't do any of this in a vacuum, which brings us to connection. We are wired to be social creatures, and our relationships are like a massive shock absorber for stress. But remember, it's a two-way street. It's not just about connecting with others. You also have to connect with yourself through hobbies, meditation, whatever grounds you. That's just as vital. Now, when you feel connected, it becomes so much easier to practice gratitude and generosity. And man, this is a powerful combo. Gratitude literally shifts your brain's focus from what's wrong to what's right. And generosity, that takes that positive energy and pays it forward. Sometimes the best way to lift yourself up is to lift someone else up too. So when you start combining all of these, it unlocks the 5th and final practice: possibility. This is that mindset where you start to see every challenge not as a threat, but as an opportunity. It's the habit of asking, okay, what can I learn from this? Where could this new path lead? It's what turns an obstacle into an adventure. Okay, so we've got our 5 tools. Now let's put them to work. Let's see how this stuff actually plays out in the real world. Because theory is great, but application? That's everything. Let's take something tough, like losing a job. The old way is just to bounce back, right? Find another job. But bouncing forward looks different. You use vulnerability to share your fears with your family. You use productive perseverance to update that resume. And crucially, you use possibility to ask, hey, maybe this is my chance to find a career I actually love? And as you can see, this applies to everything. A breakup, a health scare. These aren't just nice ideas. They're real strategies for life's hardest moments. So, if you walk away with just one thing from all this, let it be this. Resilience is not a fixed trait. It's not something you either have or you don't. It is a set of skills. Vulnerability, connection, gratitude, these are things you can practice. Just like learning guitar or going to the gym, you get better with every single rep. Which brings us full circle, right back to our muscle metaphor. Every single day gives us a chance to do a few reps, to exercise these skills even in small, tiny ways. So the question I want to leave you with is a simple one. How are you going to exercise your resilience today?